Hey everybody, this is Kelly Lynn, and this is, I think, video number 6 for the Suicide Talks page, where I am one of the featured video vlogger, and I answer questions each week in a short video from listeners and people going through some type of grief or PTSD or stress or depression or anything to do with that sort of stuff. I'm a widow. I was widowed 6 years ago next week when my husband had a sudden heart attack at 46 years old. And I'm not a professional by any means, but I do some grief coaching, and I've been through a lot. I'm also a rape survivor, and so I'm here to answer questions, and whatever questions you guys have, please give those to me, and I will keep answering them in an upcoming video. I still have some questions to answer that people have wrote in about. This week, I am going to answer a question that came from Sean. I'm just giving first names in case they don't want, in case you want to keep it somewhat anonymous. But the question comes from Sean, and the question, I'm going to read it, so my eyes are going over there for a minute. He wants to know about dealing with anger when it comes to losing your partner to death. How do you deal with anger? Anger keeping you stuck, anger over your partner being taken, anger at the future, anger at friends who disappeared. I just want to scream and break things. That is his question or statement. Thank you, Sean. And yeah, I want to scream and break things too a lot of times. And so I'll tell you what I did and what I do, because anger is still there sometimes for me 6 years later, but it's definitely better than it used to be. So I think the first thing that's really important to do when you are angry about all of that you said, that your partner is dead, that, why did this happen? Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to us? Why do I have to go through this? This sucks. All of that is to just acknowledge it in your head and outwardly, and to know that it's completely normal. And anyone who tells you otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. Anyone who says that anger is bad or unhealthy doesn't know what they're talking about. How you release that anger can be unhealthy, but I'll get into that in a minute. But having anger is not unhealthy. It's very healthy, and it's necessary, as are all emotions. Joy, sadness, grief, everything. Regret, jealousy, anger, sadness, they're all going to come up over and over again on a loop, and each time they do, you're going to find new ways to deal with them, and it's going to be a little bit easier. So acknowledge it, validate it, realize that it's real, that it exists, that there's nothing wrong with you because you're angry, and that's kind of the first step, okay? The second thing is, I would identify, if you can, what you're angry at. Make a list. This is what I did. I made a list of what I'm angry at. All the things I'm pissed off about. When you feel that anger, make a list of what you're angry at or who you're angry at. In my case, I was angry at a lot of things. I was angry that my husband was taken from me after only 4 years of marriage. I was angry that we didn't get to have even 5 years together as a married couple. I was angry that I'll never be a mom. I was angry that he'll never be a dad like he always wanted. I was pissed off that his father couldn't spend 5 minutes to tell his own son that he had heart issues. And so because of that, my husband died because he was a walking time bomb and he had no idea. No symptoms, nothing. So I was pissed off about all of that. I was angry that our future was taken away. I was angry that, God, there's so many things, that we didn't get to have children, that we didn't get to have a family, that we never got to have success in our lives together and see that transpire and see what would have happened in our future. just that our kids never get to play with my brother's kids, you know, because we didn't have kids. That I never got to see that happen, that I never got to see him as a father. I mean, it's endless, you know, the things that you're angry at because the things that were robbed from you. And everybody's situation is different. So make a list of all the things you're angry at and all the people you're angry at. You know, the friends who have disappeared, the ones who don't get it, the ones who tell you to move on, all of it. Just make a list. And then once you've done that, maybe take that list. I did this with my grief counselor. If you don't have a grief counselor or a therapist, you can do this with a friend or just by yourself. And maybe just kind of go over that list in your head and ask yourself what things on that list can actually be resolved and what things are you just going to have to live with or kind of sit with. So, you know, and make peace with somehow. So, for example, I'm going to have to make peace with the fact that I'll never have a family with my husband. How do I make peace with that? I don't know. I just do. Time has helped. And whenever I feel too sorry for myself, I think, well, at least I'm alive. You know, he doesn't even get to be alive. So I get to breathe air. I get to experience life. I get to fall in love again. I get to do things like that. I get to live my dreams or try. And he doesn't get to do anything. So, I don't know. That kind of grounds me a little bit. It makes me feel a little less sorry for myself and a little less angry. And then, so kind of go through the list and see what things you can maybe get some sort of closure or peace. I hate that word closure when it comes to these things, but some things do have closure, not always, but if you know, like if you're angry at a particular person and maybe you want to reach out to that person and talk to them and send them a message and say, look, this is how I'm feeling. You know, why did you disappear on me? I just wanted to let you know that I don't think it's cool. Something like that. Like, there are cases where you can get a little bit of closure. It might not be how you pictured it, but you might be able to find some sort of closure sometimes. And then with the other things, you have to kind of figure out a way to make peace with it. And it's going to take time. I'm not saying, like, you're going to make this list and then the next day you're going to figure out, oh, I'm fine with this. No, this takes months, maybe years. I was in therapy, grief counseling for the first 3 years after Don's death. So it took me, I don't know, 2 years or so to kind of walk through all this. So it takes a long time. It's not like a fast process. But that's what I did. And after you've done all of that, the most immediate thing that you can do, and that I do still to this day, and that I think is a healthy way to let out anger, is to literally let out the anger. Get the anger out of you. And there's several ways you can do that. So don't go, you know, an unhealthy way to do that would be to go punch some random person in the street, violently hurt someone. Not healthy, not cool. What you can do is get in your car. This is what I did. Got in my car. I used to do this all the time the first few months after he died. I would get in my car, drive to like a random field in the middle of nowhere, and scream my friggin' head off. I would scream at the top of my lungs that I'm pissed. I would just lose it. This isn't fair. This fucking sucks. I would lose it. And it helped. It helped. I would just like exhaust myself with the screaming. You know, find a safe place to do that where someone's not going to think you're getting murdered, and do that. A boxing class or a boxing, what do you call it? A punching bag. Thank you. A punching bag. Another great way to let out anger. Just punch a punching bag in your basement or at the gym. Excellent way to let out anger, and it works. Again, it works. Things like this work. So if you can find a way to let it out, some people like to draw, some people like to color. There's all different kinds of things that you can do to let out that anger. So I hope this helps. It's, again, like a really, really long process to get rid of anger. But and it's not going to go away. I'm not going to get rid of, was a bad way to put that, but it's not going to go away completely, but it will come to a place of shifting where it feels not so overwhelming anymore, and where you're not going to constantly be angry, and the anger will be kind of replaced with a more mellow, peaceful feeling. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, and thank you for asking it, Sean, and I will answer another one in the next video. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.